So,
Well, I mean, I had it open.
all
Morning,
right, there
Joe.
we go. Good morning. How are you? Or good afternoon, right? It's 12:11.
Yeah, we should say that. Good afternoon. That's right.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday.
Same to you. Same to you. So hopefully we won't have rain this weekend. It'll be a great weekend to get out and enjoy California weather. So today we promised to talk about another aspect of Tijuana Manana, the Anxious Iguana. And I was going to share my screen to show some of the little activities that I've created that parents, teachers, therapists can use with kids to help reinforce some of the messages in the book. And also, I have included a lot of information that's helpful for the adults so that they have more tools for helping kids when things are hard. And this is like most of the time with the kids I'm working with, things can be feeling overwhelming to them. And so that's why I wrote the book. How can kids learn to do things that are really hard for them and grow from it? Are you ready, Joe?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first worksheet is, you can see the screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the first worksheet is just kind of, these are not in any particular order, but this is a worksheet that someone could use with a child. So you see in the first picture, Joe's given us a picture of Tijuana Manana feeling anxious. And so that's sort of like a before. And then you see Tijuana thinking, hey, I can do this. And he's happy because he mastered something. So with a child, you can fill in the blanks. You can do it orally, or you can actually write it down, or the child can write it down. Sometimes practicing sight words makes me feel like Tijuana Manana, or sometimes brushing my teeth makes me feel like Tijuana Manana. Like, can't we just skip it for today? And then using some of the tools that we'll talk about today, as well as ones we've talked about before that are in the book, we can switch that to Tijuana today. And he's saying, I have tools now so I can feel like Tijuana today. Here's what I can do. So the child could draw a picture, they can write down ideas of things they can do. An adult can help them. So that's just a way to think through something to reinforce. And then this is, again, some people practice with flashcards, but I had in mind something that's fine to do with these. If you laminate it, ideally, you can then put all kinds of things on the back. So laminate them, and then you can write spelling words on the back, or you can write math facts, sight words, anything that the child would be wanting to practice or needing to practice. And then you can play games like memory or other activities that, oh, do you have any math facts that add up to 7, like a go fish game, things like that. So that's what that is for open-ended ideas. This is an activity, not an activity, this is something that hopefully it's working with children to help build, like Tijuana, to help build that belief that I can handle doing hard things. So trying to think about reframing how a child might be thinking, which is often, this is much, I don't want to do this is hard, this is taking too long, this is boring, this is a waste of time, all those kind of messages that I often hear with kids. And so reframing them, here are just some ideas that parents could use to help them reframe a child's words, thinking to something that feels like, oh, I could do this, just like in the story. So some of the ideas that are listed here that I think can be helpful, like I can do hard things when I'm calm, trying helps me learn hard things, practicing hard things is easier when I'm having fun. Practice will help me feel more confident. Effort makes my brain grow. I can get used to uncomfortable feelings when I do hard things. I can learn hard things one step at a time. It takes time to learn hard things. Doing hard things is easier when I work with a partner. I will do it because I'll like how it feels when I accomplish my goal. I can take the first step and the next steps will be a little easier. I want to see myself being successful with help and practice. And tomorrow, this is from the other book we've worked on together, Mission Control, A Big Feelings Adventure. Tomorrow I will be a day older and more practiced, and doing hard things will be just a little easier. So that's a lot to choose from. If I ask kids, maybe don't give all of them, give them all of these choices, but I might pick 3 choices and say, do any of these feel like things that could help you? And they can usually pick out something that sort of resonates with them, helps them feel like, okay, I can do the hard thing. Of course, all these have to be at the right moment when kids are available to be thinking about this, just like mom had to help Tijuana get past the fight or flight mode and into a state where he could be thinking about, okay, I can start moving toward doing what you've asked me to do. And that is to practice sight words. So in your experience with kids at school, do any of these feel like ones that you think would be particularly helpful in a classroom?
Oh, let's see. Definitely it takes time to learn hard things.
Yeah.
Let's see. Effort makes my brain grow.
Yeah.
That's always, and the practice will help me more confident.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree. And I think that those are all things that are so intangible and not immediate. So it's really hard for kids, I think, to wrap their minds around that there's something positive coming from this hard work in this moment. So we can say it, it can be in their heads, we can reinforce it, we can repeat it, and eventually hope that they will take it in. But I think that it's really hard to actually understand that concept because it's a little abstract for kids, I think. So here's just a fun activity, very simple maze, but the idea is taking the child through the steps in the story, from moving from being totally in freeze mode, hiding like that, and feeling threatened by the hawk, and then having his mom sort of talk him through and helping him sort of shift his thinking from once he understands that that's how your brain works, because we talked a lot about that in the other sessions that we've met, and how he's able to then come to the point where ways that you can come up with that would help you. And so Tijuana, in the book, we see a picture of Tijuana counting by tens. We see him taking Buster for a walk. We see him thinking about his upstairs brain and his downstairs brain working together. So this is very individual. Other kids might have completely different things to put in their little bubbles. They can draw them in, they can write them in, whatever, but just to try to personalize it, customize it to the child. These are things that Tijuana did. You can be like Tijuana and do the same thing. What ideas do you have that would be helpful for you in growing in? So we did a little about this in another episode about what to do when things seem like too much. And there's always reasons that a child might feel being overwhelmed, because if there weren't reasons, they'd just do it. And so this is a long list of reasons why a child might be struggling to do something that to them feels like too hard, too much. So lack of confidence, not having a growth mindset, but having a fixed mindset. I can't do those hard things. Kind of thinking versus what we're talking about reframing with those other kinds of affirmations, other ways of thinking through things that we just listed. That's growth mindset. Kids don't like to hear no. We're not going to play. We're not going to keep being on the video game. It's time to do something else. So disappointments, not wanting to lose a game can be reasons why kids feel like things are too much. Transitions can make things hard for kids, stopping something that they like and moving into starting something they don't like. The basics of just being tired and hungry. Sometimes just having a limited diet. They're not getting what they need because they might be picky eaters or have another reason, or even other reasons why their diets might be limited. They might be impulsive, having a hard time slowing down. Their academic skills might be lagging, and other skills, some of which we're talking about now. Not having enough agency, feeling like people are always telling me what to do. I want to have some choices. I want to make some decisions for myself. And just not having the tools yet for knowing how to regulate. So that's part of this book and the other book, Mission Control, A Big Feelings Adventure, are about having a busy schedule, busy on the weekends, busy all day long, after school activities, make kids not having enough time to just do what they want to do, and having difficult attention, staying focused, getting distracted, sustaining attention, persevering through a difficult activity. Hard to wait is a big one. So many kids have so much difficulty sticking to something or having to about anything. They sometimes feel things are not fair. My big brother doesn't have to do this work. Why do I have to? Or my younger brother doesn't have to do this. Why do I have to? And then emotional distress in general, like a heavy backpack full of emotions, and maybe not having enough quality sleep, getting up at night and going into the parents' bedroom because they don't know how to get them back to sleep. Not having enough connection with the primary, shortage of time, not being outdoors for play and exercise, and with busy schedules that can sometimes happen. Not having enough time for free play and fun. That's what I'm hearing a lot about lately from kids. I can see all those could be really big things for school, but what else do you think you see a lot at school? I can't hear you, Joe. You're not muted, but I know you're trying. It looks like the same problem as last week. I'll let you work on it. We can come back to it. The next handout for adults is when kids are feeling that they feel threatened for some reason, and they are likely to go into fight or flight or freeze. I've listed there's three things that you might see. So if a child is in fight mode, they are facing perceived threat, and responding to it aggressively. So of course, there are times when it might actually be a threat, but generally not in a home, in a school setting. That's usually perceived, but true for them. And then in flight, a person might respond to perceived danger by running from it. Or in freeze, a person might not be able to move or act even against a perceived threat. So we know about possums and how they play dead, that kind of idea. And so some examples that maybe aren't so obvious, like throwing, kicking, arguing, refusing, hiding under a bed or a table, running out of the classroom, refusing, well, not refusing, but not talking, holding one's breath. All those kinds of things are things that are pretty obvious that a child's in fight or flight and struggling. But some of the less obvious ones I've listed there that I see with kids that say, I need help, is really what they're saying. I'm feeling threatened. I mean, the child is certainly not in the moment recognizing there's not really a threat, but they can feel that way. And so their brain reacts that way. And so they are in need of someone to help them in that moment. So some things that you might see are excessive fidgeting, eyes darting, glaring, spitting, whining, speaking in a baby voice, growling, yelling, no, or stop, or other hurtful words. You can see some physiological changes, sweating, itching. The child can be restless, daydreaming, using a loud voice, having a stiff body, having big body movements, making noises but not using words, not answering you or an adult or a peer, laughing, sort of, even though like that laughing and crying are close. Sometimes it's hard to know. We laugh when we know it's not appropriate, but that's what sometimes comes out. Acting silly, a limp body, or saying something like "I can't," or "This is boring," or "This is going to take forever," or "I don't know how," or "This will never end," or "I'm done," or sighing, talking off topic, trying to divert attention from the activity, staring blankly ahead, mumbling, making faces, acting helpless, using potty words, using sense talk, running around, screaming, rolling around on the ground, grunting.
To learn, or I used to say, even, and this is where we're in the beginning stages of the mission control book, that talking about having self-control and being able to express themselves, but a lot of times they took it to another level, and some kids were like really super like out of control, but then you had some other ones that just did not want to learn. Like they were a fixed mindset. They didn't want to learn new things. And that was an opportunity for me to help them get over that. And because I just had high expectations for these kids. It's like, this is going to be fun. You're going to learn something new. But a lot of the times, I'm looking at this screen now, the fidgeting, they just, crossed arms was a huge one. And the whining, crying, and because I was most mostly for the younger grades, like kindergarten, first grade. But as they got older, was just not listening to directions. And I'll never forget in in 8th grade doing computer classes, and they were just completely defiant. Like they didn't think that anything. It was not so much computer classes, but it was we were doing STEAM classes. So I'd always try to figure out some kind of project that would just be kind of a group setting where they could just work together. And there were a few that they're just like this attitude, like this is beneath me. And I would attribute that to more of a fixed mindset, wouldn't you, Nan? I mean, would that be more of a fixed mindset of response? Like, I'm not going to do this.
It might be fear-based, which is often part of fixed mindset. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably because it was a drawing. A lot of it were drawing projects. Maybe they were afraid of, maybe they couldn't draw.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to be embarrassed because they were more of like, kind of like, I wouldn't say like the tough guys, or the other boys would look up to these guys. Those are the ones that were more defiant, not wanting to do the project. So maybe that has something to do with it. Like
I think so. Yeah.
Their self-esteem, or they were insecure, you know. So yeah. So the protective behaviors. Yeah. Because they don't want to be embarrassed, like you said. Yeah. So I think, that might be what you saw, especially at that age group. They're so much more aware of what others might say. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, those are great examples. Thanks, Joe. Yeah. On this one, this is to help adults know how to help kids. So Joe, you just did a great job of thinking through, like, what could make a child feel this way, or be acting this way. And I've listed some things that can make it easier for a child, and that is that an adult could do. First of all, is the adult, as you were, Joe, already regulated yourself. You already think, what can I do to help this child, or injury, but an emotional one, because they need the same response still from us. And I think that's what you're describing as well, Joe. Like, I see the pain, I see the fear, I see that this is really hard. I'm here to help. Yeah. And then also just getting your needs as an adult met, so that you aren't feeling stressed. You're not feeling like you have to get out the door. You're not feeling like, oh no, here we go again. But that you're coming from a place of, I see what my child needs, and my child doesn't have the tools. But I do. I'm an adult. I've been reading Nan's books and Joe's books, and getting tools and help. And so I actually do have the ability to be open to helping my child in this moment, and putting aside for a minute the grocery list and getting out the door, because my child needs me right now. That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. Parents share that with me. And then sometimes, though, a more fun way, of course, is kind of front loading our kids so that they are already connected with us. They're gone all day from school. They come back. There has to be a connection time again. They've been disconnected during the day. And how do we help them connect so that if there is something that you need to do to direct them in a different way than what they want
to do, it's more likely that they will go ahead and do what you're asking them to do because they're already connected with you and want to stay connected with you. So there's a phrase, connect before correct, something like that. Same idea. Kids are more likely to do what you are asking them to do if they feel like you've done some of the things on the list. So spending uninterrupted time with your child daily, delighting in your child. I love that word, delight in your child. In my therapy, I've come to truly delight each child as an individual and think, wow, what a marvel this child is. So different. There's nobody else like that. And really, really see the spark in them, to see the joy and to see who they are as a person. Spending time playing with your child, laughing with your child, giving lots of hugs, listening to your child, welcoming and accepting your child's feelings, emotions, slowing things down, being in the moment, and praising. And there's a lot of talk, many people probably already know about praising, but praising like what you want, you see your child doing that you would like to see them repeat versus just, oh, that's great. But, oh, I really like how you stuck to that art project until you had it just the way you liked it. That took a lot of patience, didn't it? Or anything along those lines. And some of the things that I can do, like children feel unsafe sometimes because if you're feeling threatened, you're feeling unsafe. So some things that can help are using a reassuring tone of voice, like, I got this. I know what to do in this moment. I see what you need. Showing confidence, like I just said, you've got the situation under control. Using welcoming and accepting body language on your part, like, come here, let me help you with that. A lot of times, and that's a lot of what the book series on keto are about, those things that adults can do because kids need that calming moment before they can move on and start thinking about how to solve the problem. So, Joe, do you have any thoughts to share on all of this? This is a lot for adults to think about.
Yeah, it is a lot, but it's funny, with my daughter teaching first grade. She said that the kids that really do, I want to say, better in her class are the ones that where their parents spend time with them and spend time with them reading and helping them along, like with their writing and like with Tijuana, like sight words, but not necessarily in first grade. But and she can see, and I know in just my experience, being intentional and giving each child the time and not being there for everyone, being present for all the students, and just being for me, which has always been just being encouraged.
Yeah, those are great words. Intentional and encouraging. I should add those to the list. Yeah, intentional. And I think that's a word a lot of parents you think about a lot. They do want to be intentional with how they respond. And sometimes they don't know how. So that's why I'm hoping the list will help maybe it's not. How there's lots of interpretations for all of these things in the list for families to do it their own special way, but hopefully it'll trigger some thoughts for. And then some ways that adults can help the children remember to apply a lesson that they learn for the next time. So if kids can remember, if I can remind them of something that happened last session or something that happened in a different way that can be applied to a situation, it helps them encourage. Oh, I could do it in that situation. So a lot of times when I'm working in an individual session with kids, I have them doing gross motor activities, and they're pretty much willing to do that, and they like the challenges because I have a setup where it's sort of like ninja warriors, and they like that. And so I look for opportunities in those moments to say things like, wow, at first you tried to climb up that piece of equipment, and it was you didn't do it. And then you kept coming up with new ideas for how to get up that piece of equipment until you found a way that worked. And now you know how to do it next time too. Then I can take that idea of trying new strategies to other situations that might be fine motor related or getting ready for bed related, so that they understand, oh, I did that in that situation. I can remember that success and apply it again. So some of the ideas that I try to do is sometimes when I'm trying to send information home with families to reinforce at home, or ideas that be things that families can do at home, is write a note, make a poster, draw a picture, pick up X's. I want to keep going because look how many I've already done. So sometimes just that visual and that kind of motivation like that can help kids do things. And remember to repeat it. Doing something with a partner also is a winner. Remember how you did it before. Sometimes rewarding yourself, finding the best time to do something in a day or in a week, being sure you understand what to do, remembering you did it once, so you can do it again. That's one a lot of kids say to themselves, do it one step at a time, take the first step. There's also research behind that of like, if you can just take the first step, let's get to the desk and pick up the pencil. Great. Now we're on our way. Make the first step easy. And sometimes I'll start with like, let's do this maze, because every kid likes mazes. And then we'll move into something hard. And maybe I'll end with something fun too, to try to help them get to the table where we're going to do the final work. And then just being prepared. So those are things that help kids learn to generalize from one instance to other instances. And then some of the lifelong messages that and values that you might want to be reinforcing with kids to help them. So I often review from start to finish what a child has done, like a narration. Some of the ideas, I gave an example here of something that you might find helpful and use as a model for other kinds of messages to the kids that help them. These are lifelong messages. These are family values. These are the things we want to see in our children. these are things that you might think about. And because it is really hard, I think, for adults to do the things we talked about on a previous page, like be present, think about giving time to the child, listening, all those things. It is hard. But what I like to think about is, what is the longer term goal? What is the big picture goal you have for the child? And so that's what matters. So if we can keep that in mind, I think it makes a difference, because it's not just about getting your shoes on in the moment. It's about building independence, for example, and confidence and problem solving when a child is allowed the time and the support and the encouragement to learn to tie their shoes, or maybe not even tie their shoes, but just get them on with Velcro. So an example is, I see you persevered with math assignment. I'm wondering if you feel prepared now for your exam. So the message being, well, if you are prepared for things, not just this one math test that's coming up, but the message is, preparation makes you feel more confident, makes you feel like you can be okay, it lowers your level of anxiety. It makes you realize, I can do it in this situation, I can do it in other situations. I've had successes. So some of the values, some of the messages that I think parents want to see fostered in their children are things like self-confidence, growth mindset, resiliency, curiosity, their work and their daily life with their friends, with their kids, with your daughter's kids that she's working with. And what do you have other thoughts about all of this?
I mean, there's so many like just good words there, but I think for my wife and I raising our kids, and they're in their late 20s now, but we're just like very proud of them. Like they are resilient. We set high standards for them, and high expectations. It's like and realistic goals. That's another thing too. But having a growth mindset and having that self-confidence, having the resiliency and perseverance is was like, I think, I guess, words that we really kind of tried to apply, in raising them. And they're both, I want to say, successful adults. They have their careers, and they're people that we just love hanging with them. It's just fun to see. Now we're in that different season of life, and to seeing how the work that we put into them was hard, but it was just totally worth it.
Yeah.
So,
That's it. That's the long range view. That's where we want. That's where everyone wants to be.
Yeah.
Children down the road. Yeah. That's a great encouragement, Joe.
Yeah.
And then I just added some fun in here. This is one of the iguanas that I saw on my trip to the Galapagos, and he's inspiration behind Tiana Manana. And then there's Sally Lightfoot crab, and they were around a lot. And I just loved, like, they're bright red, they're so colorful, easy to find. And I don't know why they're not better camouflaged than that. I guess they don't need to be. And anyway, he's an inspiration in the story too, because we talk about crabby, like, bothering people. And his mom says something to him about changing that behavior when he gets stressed, taking some breaths. And then this is just step-by-step drawing of Tijuana. And then I made a bingo game for practicing sight words. So to try to make it more fun, can you read your sight words under the covers with a the flashlight? Can you stand on one foot and practice your sight words? Can you do it with a pet? Read the sight words with an animal, a stuffed animal even. You do it in a silly voice, a loud voice, a gruff voice. Can you sing the sight words? Can you do the sight words with a family member or a friend? Can you record yourself? Practice it while you're having a healthy snack. Practice it while you sit in a comfy chair. Or can you build a pillow fort and practice it in there? Can you swing, holding on with both hands, of course, and practice? Somebody shows you the words and you practice while you're swinging. Can you find a cozy corner to do it in? Can you do it with a partner? Can you do it outdoors somewhere? But a lot of times it's just them to walk around and just move their bodies, however they want to move their bodies. And they seem to be, sometimes the brain seems to be a little bit powered by their feet and how they are able to do that. And so those are just some ideas to try to make it more fun. And then the last one here is just 3 bubbles that show, like, how have you grown from practicing hard things. And that's from the book, but again, individualizing it to the child. And then there's a coloring picture of Tijuana, and you could add a background to it. And that's for the week, the next handout, the next visual that I showed you. So hopefully those are things that adults will find useful when they are trying to reinforce the messages in the book after they read it with the child. And these will be available on our website once the book is out for sale on Amazon, which is soon. So I don't know if you have any more that you wanted to share, Joe?
No, not really. You've covered a lot. I can't add to it.
Well, I mean, your illustrations are just so inspiring, really, Joe. Like, that's what, it makes kids want to learn because of your illustrations to me. So I'm very grateful for how you are always so thoughtful about what you draw and really can capture, because of your experience as a dad, but also your experience as a teacher, really capture what it's really like for kids. And that makes it more relevant to kids and makes them feel like I can do that too.
Yeah, it's funny. There's just something that happened last week when with some students. It's like you never know what it's going to come out of their mouths. It's like, and it cracks me up. It's like the teacher and I were just. I can share it with you offline, but I don't think it's anything that we need to talk about here. But it's just they're so. It's just so they're so innocent to a fault,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
I love that.
yeah, and they're kind of incriminating themselves just by being honest. You know, you ask them a question, and you're thinking as an adult, it's like I think you may not want to reveal that much information, but it's like and that's what cracks me up. It's just like you ask them a question and they just spit it out, you know. And I think that's what I like working with the kids. It's like you just never know what's going to come out of their mouths. And but I guess one little thing here with this picture that I drew is actually the one that you had, like, we're showing Tijuana being anxious, which is like the cover. I don't know if you have
yeah, I think I
access to it, but I actually got that pose from, sad to say, but it was a girl that was having an anxiety attack at school, and I had really never seen that in a student at school, but she
to share a little bit of the journal that goes along with Tijuana and the worksheets that accompany the journal. So how to kind of use the information that we've gone through the last few weeks to actually implement it, go into implementation. So
sounds good.
I'll look forward to that again next week, Joe. So thank you again.
All right, Ann. All right, thank you. All right.